and gentlemen, and welcome to the Moving Forward podcast, your complete guide of leadership. I'm your host and founder of this podcast, Scott McCarthy, and welcome to the inaugural podcast. Today is the first one. I finally decided to break out of my shell, which I'll get into a little bit later, and do a podcast. So, the first thing I'd like to hit off is who I am, the person here behind the mic talking to you today. So, as I've said, my name is Scott McCarthy. I'm a 15-year veteran of the Canadian Armed Forces, an officer within the Canadian Armed Forces. I've spent my entire career in trying to educate myself in understanding and becoming a better leader. And I spent a lot of time listening to podcasts such as the Andy Stanley podcast, for example, on leadership, or reading books from authors such as John Maxwell or retired General Rick Hillier on their great writings. And I've occasionally blogged about the subject. If you found me on LinkedIn, you would find a few writings in there. I did have a previous blog, which I have since gone ahead and deleted, mainly because I didn't like the direction I was going with it and needed to find something that worked for me and think now that moving forward is exactly what has worked for me. And finally, I've also done some consulting work on the side, just a little bit in helping people break out of their shell and become the leaders which they believe that they can and get them moving in the right direction. So that's who I am. Hopefully, as we go along with this podcast, I'll slowly be able to find out who you are and who's listening out there and what your interests are so that I can go ahead and help you become the better leader that you want to be. Without ado, I'd like to dive into today's topic, and today's topic is why. And we're going to cover a broad range of subtopics within why. But first off, I wanted to touch on base as to the 5 different, basically, questions, words: who, what, why, when, where, and how. There's a lot of different ideologies behind this, from thinking about these question words. Have a good understanding as to when you're giving direction as to who. You should always have a good idea who you're going to give your direction to. The what is what are you going to give out for direction or give it as a task to your subordinates. I'll pass on the what for now, the why for now. But I want to get right over to the how. And the how is perhaps one of the most destructive things you could do. And I'm going to get into that near the end of the podcast. How is an absolutely destructive word. But keep in mind, let's try to eliminate that from your vocabulary from here on out. Take how out of there and just throw it away. Forget it even exists. Excuse me. Let's go back to why. Why is why so important? The why is what's the foundation of whatever you do. Why am I doing this podcast? Well, why am I doing this podcast? That's a great question, and I'll go ahead and answer it right now. I'm doing this podcast because I feel that as a leader, I need to branch out from my comfort zone. I'm pretty comfortable where I'm at within my leadership roles at work and even within my community. I spent a great deal of time mentoring those junior officers that are currently under me, as well as the senior non-commissioned officers that are under me in my command. And I'm too comfortable with that. As I've said, I've done a little bit of blogging, felt that didn't really work for me. Did some consulting, however, as a military officer, I tend to move around, and it's very difficult to keep going back into that realm of as a consultant to get new clients, rebuild my reputation locally, and then try to edge myself into the marketplace. Additionally, as you probably hear my voice, I'm pretty young. I'm only currently 33 years old, yet I've been fairly successful within my career, I would say, well below the average age for my rank level. And continually to be successful. So I think this podcast will actually help people who are in my age range, those who are starting out their careers, who are starting to be leaders, or even though maybe you're not, maybe you are older than me and you're just trying to listen to more, learn more about leadership, and that's absolutely fine. I think I will bring a lot to the table for you. So please, just because I told you I'm younger and I'm trying to aim for the younger crowd out there that are starting careers, and you are past that age bracket, that you should turn this off, because definitely not. I definitely am interested in what you will have to say down the line. So that's pretty well why I am doing this podcast. So let's switch back to the topic of as a leader, and why am I a leader? Why do I feel that I am a leader? And as a leader, what does that mean to me? First off, why am I a leader? I feel that I'm a leader because I quickly gain the respect of those that fall underneath my command. Within the military, it's a very hierarchical rank structure, as everybody knows, and that you show up with a rank, and regardless, as soon as people are below you, you automatically become their leader. But there's more to it than that. I feel that I'm a leader because I empower those below me. In empowerment and delegation will be topics which I definitely will get into in the future, because I'm absolutely a huge fan of those topics. But for now, I'll just broad stroke them and say that why I feel that I'm a leader is because I definitely feel that I empower those below me. And I feel that in an effort to achieve what I need to achieve on a daily basis, empowerment of them helps us to achieve that, helps them to achieve what they need to achieve on a daily basis, if that makes any sense to you. Another reason why I feel that I'm a leader is because I'm constantly trying to uplift my organization. And I mean that in both a micro and macro sense. Micro sense that I continually believe and make people believe in themselves and grow there. And I often tell my people, I'm like, there's nothing but superstars in our organization. My organization consists of approximately 200 people, and every day I tell them, all of them, that they are superstars. Every single one of them are in the organization are superstars. At the macro level, excuse me again, I continually try to improve the organization through either effectiveness or efficiency. Both of those things will be definitely topics down the road. But keep in mind that as a leader, you need to constantly try to improve your organization, both the personnel and the organization as a whole, hence the whole micro and macro levels ideology behind that. So these are just a few ideas of why I'm a leader. What does being a leader mean to me? It means a lot, in that I I continually have 200 people's lives which I'm responsible for, and that is absolutely the greatest responsibility and the greatest burden that one can have on their shoulders. Day in, day out, I'm responsible for their lives, their livelihood, and everything around these personnel. It can be, and often is, a tough sell, or tough pill to swallow when you have to make tough decisions. However, when you see the great outcomes that come of it, there's nothing better, no greater feeling that comes over you when you see your people moving forward and developing and becoming better and better in line with what your vision is. So, with that, what you need to do, and what I'd like for you to do, is to think about it and ask yourself, what's important to me as a leader? Why am I a leader? Why do I want to be a leader? These are all questions that you need to have answers to, or have understanding. Maybe not a scripted answer, much like how nothing I've talked about here has been scripted, but an answer nonetheless, or an ideology behind it. Why is it important? Why is leadership so important to you? And why do you think you're a leader? And why do you want to be a leader? Everybody's answers will be different. There is no single uh, teacher's answer key to these questions. Leadership has often been defined as being an art. And what do we mean by that is that there is no set of rules within leadership, much like in the science realm. There is no must do's or things. What will work in one situation won't necessarily work in the next situation. So it's an art. You have to gauge each situation independently and decide what is the best way forward. I've briefly went over, so just to finish off that last topic though, is next little bit, just think about that and ask yourself, why it is you want to be a leader, why it's important to you, and to you, what makes a good leader. And feel free to leave comments at movingforwardleadership.com on the little blog post that has this podcast assigned to it with what your thoughts are. But I want to go move forward into the bulk of today's podcast and what we'll discuss. That's something ideology of the Canadian military, and I know it's used within the U.S. military and for sure in the UK and around the world, no doubt. And that topic is called Mission Command. It could be called different things within the different countries, but here in Canada, we refer to it as Mission Command. So, what is Mission Command? Mission Command is a style of leadership where you tell your subordinates what you want done and leave up the how to them. The how to them is where they get to use their initiative, their critical thinking skills, and decision-making skills to go about the task that you've laid out. Mission Command is a very hands-off leadership style in that you go ahead, you say, I want this done within a certain amount of time, and then you tell them what their constraints and restraints are. So things that they can't do, and then other things that they must do. A lot of restraints and constraints can be, for example, time limitations, resource limitations, whether or not they can get access to more people, so on and so forth. Any policy issues that may arise from this task, so on and so forth. So keep that in mind. Mission Command allows you to help develop your people because you can easily go ahead and give them a task which would be around your level of at your work. But instead, you've gone ahead and gave it to them and then allowed them to develop and turn around and put their skills to the test and develop their skills. Other benefits to Mission Command is that it frees up your time. You are not sitting over their shoulders watching every little thing you do and micromanaging them. And micromanagement is another topic which I have on my list of topics to talk about and how it can destroy an organization. But we'll just briefly go over it today in that micromanagement is absolutely a cancerous way of doing business and that you should not employ micromanagement at any time. Mission Command is the exact opposite of micromanagement in that you go ahead and you say, hey, I want this task done. This is when I want it done by. Here's your team. Here's your resources. And let me know if you have any issues. You can certainly go ahead and ask for updates during in using Mission Command, and there's nothing wrong with that. So scheduling updates for your people to give you what we refer to in the military as back briefs. So coming back to you, giving you an update on what's going on, how it's going, and so on and so forth, and if there are any major problems that are arising. That's a completely acceptable way of employing Mission Command. Finally, Mission Command, it's absolutely a great tool because it frees up your time to keep looking strategically and at the bigger picture. You're not inundated with a lower level tactical tasks, which your people are taking care of for you and on your behalf. So keep that in mind. Employing mission command. Remember, the why is absolutely important behind mission command. Explaining to them why you want something done or why it's important to be done. And the reason behind that is that the why will allow them to execute their decision making and allow them to make decisions on your behalf and understanding the large picture. So let's go through a quick scenario here of employing mission command. So let's say you're a cell leader, you have 5 people underneath you, one of which is basically acts as your supervisor for 4. And these are all computer programmers, web developers, so on and so forth. You need to redo a website for your company. It's just the one you have right now is not working. So employing mission command would be as simple as this. You can bring in the team lead that controls this cell for folks, and you say, hey, we need to redevelop our website. It is not conducive for our employees or customers, even more importantly. They can't get to the shop, the online store. They can't figure out how to add items to our cart, and more importantly, can't buy our goods. This is important because it affects our bottom line. So this is why we need to change this. We need to fix it. We need this done within the next month. Any questions? And then let them go. You can ask for regular update rates, so let's say weekly, and away your cell goes and working on your new website. It's pretty a pretty simple example, but the importance of it is shown there in that you're not telling them exactly what, how. For example, I didn't tell them that I wanted a PayPal checkout button on there and that the text needed to be green with black backgrounds or any of that type of very detailed information. I told them what I wanted in general terms, and I told them most importantly why we needed this, and it was important. Why? Because it's going to affect our company's bottom line. And if your supervisor there, the supervisor team there understands that and quickly understands that, okay, this affects my company's bottom line. So if my company's bottom line is not where it needs to be, then this can and will place my livelihood in jeopardy. And suddenly, your subordinates are much more motivated to get the job done and get it done right, because their lives are at stake here. And it's not just something, oh, the company wants a new website because they're bored with the old one, when in fact that's not actually the case. So keep in mind that the why here is the most powerful tool in empowering your people. So if they understand that they need a new website because the customers can't figure out how to do it, then they're going to go out there and seek out the most customer-friendly way of buying goods online and ordering them, checking out, so on and so forth, and also making it the most cost-effective because the company's bottom line is in jeopardy. So keep that in mind. Mission command is a very off-hands approach. Not to say that you can't necessarily have an idea of what's going on, absolutely, but it's simple as to schedule regular progress briefs or tell whoever has the task to say, all right, update me when there's something to be updated on. And that's generally how I like to do things. I kind of like my guys to say, okay, let me know when there's news, and if there's no news, then I'm fine with that. And they understand that when they have something to update me on, what's important, then that's when they're going to bring it back to me. It does take a little bit of time to develop your team to do this style of mission command, i.e. the back briefs as required. So if you and your team have been together for a while, you can definitely go ahead and employ this style. However, if you're new to the team, your team is new, you're not comfortable with your personnel just yet, then maybe regular scheduling update briefs are definitely more important and worthwhile for you. So try those on a regular basis and keep them to the point. Allow your people to quickly give you a brief, ask and answer questions, so on and so forth, and then let them get back to their work because end of the day, their time is just as important as what your time is. So closing up here, my goal is not to keep these podcasts that long. I understand podcasts are generally, like myself, listen to while you go to work and so on and so forth. So I just want to finish up with saying I'd like for you to keep in mind the homework that I said and try for you to figure out why it's important for you to be a leader, what's important as a leader to yourself, and why you're wanting to learn more about the topic. And finally, ask yourself why to continually listen to this podcast. And here's some reasons for myself is that this is just the beginning. I will fully admit right here, right now, I'm a bit rusty at podcasting. However, I definitely do believe this will get better in the future as time goes on. All the great podcasts start off a little rusty, not 100% sure what they want to talk about. But as I get it more into the groove, I definitely will get better at doing this for you and pass some ideas. Also, I do plan on bringing on guests from time to time, just like all the great podcasts do. So keep continuing to listening for sure. And when you get a chance, feel free to comment at the page at Moving Forward Leadership. And keep in mind that at the end of the day, as leaders, you got to keep moving forward. So thank you for your time, and have a great day.